If fighting was a god, I would worship him. I would bow to him. I would pray for victory. For he only grants opportunities. But behind every god lurks a devil. And the devil wants me to take a dive. My name is Annatomic. And this is how my legend was made.
When footsteps fall in eldritch hollows, and spectres flee into the shadows, that is the time when horror's heroes abound, culling the ghouls that go bump in the night.
Good morning, come on in. Coffee's good, fresh and hot. There's a waffle in the baker on the grill. We're making bacon. You're always welcome back.
Charge!
8 bells and all is well from the heart of Lovecraft country and the birthplace of American religious liberty. My name is Jonathan Jetty. You're watching Jonathan Jetty Art, and welcome to the Good Morning Waffle Lodge Oddcast. I have to tell you guys, I know it's not morning everywhere, but it's got to be morning somewhere. I'm going to be doing some paintings today. I also wanted to share with you guys, as I always do in the trailers, a bunch of really outstanding campaigns and comics to look at, and as well as my own, SPRINGBALL, Terminal Monstosity, which has been certified gold. It hit 24K, guys. 24K, and it just keeps on growing. And I wanted to also let everybody know in the chat and everybody watching this later or right now that I updated the add-on perks. A lot of you guys have been asking me to do that, and I was trying to figure out how to do it, what's the best way to do it. Reached out to the wonderful Yanzi Lin at the behest of the wonderful Shane Davis. And I said, look, I'm trying to do these add-ons. I just want to make sure I'm doing, this right and sensibly and all that stuff. So they gave me some great advice and told me, what to do with that. So I went and I made it so that you can get a book, add, books to the book you got to the best of my ability. But remember, again, I am a boomer, so I do my best. But actually, I'm Gen X, but that still makes me a boomer. I don't know how it all works. It's a little bit strange, but let's see what we've got here in the chat. We got some fine people here, and I do want to point this out. No sooner had I started this stream, or no sooner had it, just begun, and I was getting all prepped, I saw that, so I didn't get a chance to add you to the credits, but I saw that Alpha Channel has become a member. So Alpha Channel, welcome aboard. Let's get you some cheerleaders here in the Waffle Lodge Oddcast. Here we go.
Charge!
So welcome, channel member Alpha Channel, and also let me just say, Timmy Mello, channel member OG, the wind beneath my wings, always bringing the positivity, and very grateful for you. There's Timmy Mello, and thank you for being here on this fine Sunday. I hope you are having a good one in your neck of the woods. We've got Tim Smith saying good morning, everybody. We've got Mikey, as it gets, saying, hail, Shanth in chat. Hello, Mikey. It is great to see you. Let's see who else we've got here. We've got Timmy, and I think I've got everybody I need right now. Yeah, no, you got to have waffles, guys. You got to have waffles in the morning. So I've been working on this painting, and I wanted to share that with you, do a little bit of painting, but I also wanted to make sure I said, get some of those add-on tiers if you have been wanting to get those perks. You can add books and all of that stuff now. So again, fingers crossed, God willing, and the creek don't rise. We are in good shape there. So right now I'm working on a dragon painting, and something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Amoral Fat 40 Ounce is here. How are you doing, brother? It is great to see you. Yes, it is. 'Tis me. It is my regular microphone, but should I check and make sure it is okay? Does it sound bad? Does it sound bad? Testing 1, 2, 3. Does it sound okay? Let me know. Let me know if it's off. You don't know if it's off until it is, but I could have it turned around the wrong way. It could be any number of things. You never know. Let me see. Aha! Sorry for all the sound there. How's that sound? Amoral Fat 40 Ounce. Is that better? Does that sound any better? Let me know. It was turned around the wrong way. I told you I need you guys here. That's what this is about. One love. Let me know if you can hear me all right. Is that better? If it is, it's because it was turned around the wrong way. I knew it. See, I know you guys, if it wasn't for you guys are my tech support, for heaven's sake. So I need you here. Okay, there we go. Everybody's like, this is better. I'm an audio guy. Yes, of course. Amoral Fat 40 ounce nose. Yes, much better. See, here are the simple keys. if you keys to streaming, if you don't have a great chat, you're in trouble. If you don't have people who can let you know what's up, you are certainly in trouble. And I, fortunately, have a great chat filled with many folks with audio skills and video skills who can help me with all this stuff. So yes, I'm working on this dragon painting, and much like a lot of the stuff I've been doing, and this is something I was thinking about the other day, is that I don't think I've ever done a actual finished, not a sketch, not a scribbled dragon painting before, an actual dragon painting. So there was that, and then I started realizing that when we're on the King stream and we're doing all of these various characters, I realized that I don't think I have, not since 1989 when the movie came out, perhaps, I don't think I've drawn or painted the Joker since then, but maybe once, and never in my adult art career. So that was the thing that was so fascinating, is I'm finding myself illustrating a lot of stuff for the first time, and realizing, wow, like I haven't done that before. But that's the fun thing about doing work for you guys. Mark's Music Obsession is here. Welcome, brother. It is great to see you, man. All the cool kids in the chat. We got an extra one right here. Channel member Mark's Music Obsession, and channel member and OG Admiral Wackass. This looks amazing, dude. Was so happy when you posted it up. I'm glad you were happy when I posted it up. Yeah, my whole thing with what YouTube affords me the ability to do is to share this process with you guys in a way that is new in terms of both comic. Let me move this over. I just realized it's a little off center. In both comic and in art history. And every now and again, I will go to YouTube and fire up some Bob Ross and be reminded again of how good he was at what he did, which is talking and painting. And Tammy D, I know it's almost like what's up, Shadowhawk Talks? How are you doing, brother? And good morning to you. Honest to God, Tammy, whenever I get up in the morning and I go out to check the mail, I always think of that scene from The Burbs. I don't know if you remember this scene, but there's this moment where the young Klopek comes out of the house for a second and looks at the neighborhood, and they go, "Look, one of the Huns has come out of the cave." That's what I think about when I think about myself in the morning coming out of in streaming, because it's just like, oh, he's emerging. He's emerging from the cave. Yeah, I have been working like crazy on SPRINGBALL, and this painting, and painting in traditional is a real um it's a necessary thing for me. It's I've been looking at the computer so long, and working on layouts and working on SPRINGBALL and painting and digitally, and as it's so necessary for what I'm doing with the SPRINGBALL aesthetic, and how I'm putting it together, and also how I'm writing it for that matter. But the problem with it is that I end up looking at a screen far too much, and I need a break. And sometimes when I say looking at a screen, I really do mean a computer screen, because I set up my TV, I put it in a new location in here, and my Blu-ray player, and I had two really great movie watching experiences. And I don't mean new movies, I mean movies I've already seen, but I was, my studio was in a better place and everything like that, and I just felt, you'll excuse me there, I just really got into the movies and was enjoying it. And I realized that a lot of that was coming out of the fact that I was painting again, and I haven't painted for a while, because that's my favorite thing to do, and one of the biggest things I do on these streams is walk and chew gum and talk and paint with you guys, because fortunately I can do both of those things, which I do understand now that it's not a common thing, because usually you don't do two different things at the same time, but here we are. So thank God for that. But it is new, and it's weird when I don't do any kind of painting for a while, particularly traditionally. And man, I've got so many crazy things to tell you that have happened this week, and just in general. I mean, not only all of the excitement about SPRINGBALL. I know it seems like it's been news for a while, but I am still in shock about the John Malin SPRINGBALL cover. And if you guys haven't backed that or seen that yet, that was just um I'm always surprised when things like that happen, is the best way I can put it. Mikey says right here, Painting's a lot harder for me than drawing. Understood. If you rock at it, your Venom was badass too. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Mikey. Yeah. I was terrible at painting and terrified of painting when I was in my 20s, almost up to my 30s, and I finally found an approach to it, and then I began even teaching it, which is crazier. Because painting is one of those things that I would liken to swimming, which is and I don't know if any of you guys have ever met or have a family member who learned how to swim when they were older, or if you are looking to learn how to swim when you're older. But I've known some people who did not learn how to swim when they were young, or they tried to learn how to swim, which is even worse. And it's almost better to have no swimming experience whatsoever than to have had a bad swimming experience in your formative years and then not swam as a result of it. And painting is a lot like that. If you have a bad experience with paint when you're introduced to it, and then you have several of those bad experiences and you don't have someone who knows how to bring you into it at the proper pace with the proper information, it can make it so that it's even harder than if you had never painted at all. I meet a lot of people like that. And I just did my latest art lesson with Eric Weathers was actually, Eric could probably tell you what day it was, but the week is beginning to blur. But I think it was on Wednesday, maybe. We did another lesson. And I'm still reminding him about, this and that because he's relatively new to it. But we've been at it for a year, which would include me giving some introductory lessons in with digital painting. Excuse me. Excuse me. Goodness. And the thing about it is that you can get somebody to a level of understanding it at the very least, but you have to do it in a very particular way. You have to remind them of very very specific physical things they need to be thinking about, like breathing, where they're paying attention to when they're working, which typically, and if you're me, you all you have to do. I just realized I'm painting off frame. All you have to do is walk and chew gum, but it is a crazy thing, Timmy. That Mail-in Springball cover was beastly, especially with the detail of the glow in the eyes. Very well done. Yeah, you're not going to hear any complaints or arguments from me. Um, yeah, a wise man once said, um, I don't like the way my feelings make me feel, which I would, of course, agree with for me in particular. And the most intense of those emotions I find is excitement. And man, was I excited when I saw that cover. I mean, it was just wild. Completely unexpected. Completely unexpected. And it's a hell of a thing, and it's quite an amazing thing to see somebody do their take on your character in their style, because that to me is the joy of it. That's what's so fun about it. And if there was somebody who I would have thought, oh, that would be amazing, just for the fact, like, just to see them do it, let alone not for a cover, I was not even thinking like that, it would be to see John's take on Springball, because he really has been a champion, not only of this book, but a champion of all of my work and the things I've been doing. And we've obviously collaborated on things like various trailers, and then the logo design stuff that I've helped him out with. I came up with the Omega Storm logo, just but all of this stuff comes out of a passion for what we're doing here in Comicsgate, a passion for comics and all of that kind of stuff. And it's that doesn't lead me to think, oh, this is going to happen, you know. Oh wow, very cool. So what is that a link to? Tell me what that is a link to. If I oh my god, yes, Mark, I had to fix that for you. I had to fix that for you because you were saying, that, and I went, I've got to figure that out. Let me just see here. I just made this huge breakfast burrito. I took 2 bites and I'm already full. Eyes were hungrier than my stomach. Man, I've been there before. Caleb Reynolds, how are you doing, Caleb? By the way, that was a front runner for a name I would like to name my son when I was in high school. It's like, if I ever have a son, I want to name him Caleb. I love that name. I knew a really nice guy named Caleb, who was just, I always thought, well, that'd be a great name because he was such a good dude. Grey Wolf, how are you doing, Grey Wolf? It's great to see you in the chat, my brother. How are you? Um. Oh, okay. I will. Yeah, I have to figure out a way I can do it where it won't blow up the system. But let me see if I can do it here. Let me see what it'll make me do. Oh, very nice. I got you, Mark. Thank you so much, Mark. So it did work for you then. It did work for you. That's great. Mark was showing me the campaign where he's backing, and that he was able to add the books in there. And thank you, Mark. Mark is a great supporter. I'm really, really looking forward to getting Mark all of the stuff for the Nosfero campaign, which is getting closer and closer to the final close. Because once they do the disbursement for Springball, which is how we had planned it, and so that we're not just, everything's just dead stop in terms of income coming in. I always want to have a campaign that's open and funding. We're going to be closing and then get to the printing and fulfillment of Nosfero. And maybe that's I've had to be in Springball land, and which is, I can't even tell you guys. I will sit around and I will think about story, and it's all consuming. It's all consuming. I so let me, because this is going to be an oddcast as it's labeled. I'm going to jump around a lot of places. Let me go back to something I said at first. So I watched two movies again recently on my Blu-ray player, which I finally moved to a good location. The two movies were the 2024 Nosferatu, which I love even more. Oh, thank you, sir. Mark, I really do appreciate all of your support. And you know what? We count backing as a super chat or anything else, so this is for you, Mark.
Charge!
I appreciate you, brother. You know that. You know that. And so I was watching Nosferatu 2024, which is again just a masterful work of cinema. Costume design, and then also research into the lore and so many things that are a part of Nosfero. But it was so inspiring. But then I also watched, for a little bit of inspiration, Evil Dead 2, and both times it was one of those crazy times where I was working, a movie was playing, and maybe it's because I've been reorganizing my studio, maybe it's because I was painting again and that helps me. I felt so taken away by those movies. I had fun. I was cracking up. I've probably been hitting the work thing too hard lately, which, I mean, too hard is whatever it is, but it's just because um whenever you launch a campaign and you're trying to figure out things like add-ons and all of this kind of excitement and late night streams and being way off of um my any kind of recognizable sleep schedule, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. And I'm a very introverted person, and I can work sometimes without stop and forget that I haven't eaten, I haven't slept, I haven't done anything, and I just sort of was running myself into the ground. So watching those movies and funny enough, organizing the studio and all of that has been great. And it started to unlock things about the story. Primarily, that whole storytelling concept. I'm blanking on the guy's name. But this guy who wrote about story structure, and I think it's Blake Snyder, but I could be wrong. But he wrote this thing about the promise of the premise. What's the promise of the premise? And the promise of the premise for Springball is Spider-Man meets the Evil Dead. And I in particular know what that means. And that it's a lot more Evil Dead and Lovecraft stuff in there than most people would think of being able to happen in a Spider-Man story. And so it's not Spider-Man at all in any real way, because Springball, of course, isn't a human being, and he's, of course, got his very um, interesting backstory of how he came to be. But I know all of the side characters, and I just started thinking about, there's not enough Evil Dead as I was watching Evil Dead, and what I love about it in the story yet, in terms of how I framed it. So I'm exploring adding some new sequences, and if you know me, you know that I say something like 30 plus pages, and then I'll say, oh, in the case of Springball, I'll go the 22 pages of the original comic book remastered, and then 20 bonus pages. But those 20 bonus pages will either be bonus material, or they're going to be extra pages of comic. And that's the way I protect myself if I decide to make the story bigger. And I want to make sure I give them, I promise this, and I know I can deliver that. But if the story needs more pages and it needs more to flesh it out, I want that freedom. And so, believe it or not, I am looking at right now anyway, increasing the size of the book because I really want the first book. I don't want it to be overwrought. I don't want it to be how do I put it? Yeah, sorry, Shadowhawk Talks. Shadowhawk Talks is saying you guys are making me hungry. Timmy Mello. I tried out this Japanese crepe. Dang, Timmy Mello. Mm. So many reasons why you're my brother, Timmy Mello, and that is one of them. I, he comes in with the Japanese crepe, and I'm like, oh man, hashtag living his best life. My God, Timmy. All right, let's go back to this crepe roll, which I had to fry and made a Japanese beef, bacon, and cheese egg roll with it for breakfast. Timmy Mello, you're a legend, man. Um, I gotta watch that. I gotta watch that. I heard it was boring, but I trust. Well, I'm glad, man. It's absolutely a watch it when you're in the mood to be transported by a movie. There's different movie moods, and that's the mood that is. It really will take you in. It's like going to on a trip again, as it is into Eastern Europe, right on the fringe of Russia and Asia, and of course all of that. It's just an incredible story. And just the director is amazing at scenes. It's the best thing ever. Shadowhawk Talks beef sliced like bacon from the local Asia town market. The things you find while exploring around town. And by the way, that exploration and the whole exploring thing is really what I was talking about. You know, with regards to the Springball story, is that when you're in Comicsgate, the craziest thing about it, and when you're working independently, is reminding yourself that your backers are your patrons, and they are funding art. I have some exceptional patrons and art patrons. When I say that, I don't mean in the sense of just like something like Patreon. I mean actual. All of you guys who are channel members are patrons of the arts, and that's how I see it. It's a expectation for me to push things and explore things with the work, and also share the things that are worth sharing with you guys when I'm doing this work. And I have to ask myself sometimes, do I want to introduce, where Springball lives in a sense? What do I want to introduce in this book? And the thing it has to answer when I'm doing that is, will it improve the book? Will it improve the experience for you guys? And Springball is something that is for you guys. It's for the fans. Nosfero, all the stuff I do is for you guys. And because I love making artwork, and I'm never going to make artwork or ship anything out that I am not 100% excited about. The gentleman who bought the Joker sketch I did on Kings wanted me. I told him, I go, well, I can send it to you as is and just sign it with pencil, but I can also complete it to what I would consider to be a head sketch standard. And what was interesting to me about it was, of course, you guys, you are inspired by artwork and you're patrons of the arts. Um, his thing was, of course, I want to see you expand it, take it where it goes. Now, I had no idea when I was doing it that it was going to involve me adding, a silhouette of Batman to the painting. I had no idea, that was the case. But as I was working on it, as I was looking at it, oh, this bill isn't curved enough. As I was looking at it, I just thought, yeah, I that it needs that. It needs that because I don't know why. And it needs me to do some more with it. And it transformed the piece, but it was transformed because of the person who backed it, the person who, supported the book. And that's I've always sort of been that way, and wherever I go, those kinds of odd serendipitous things happen. And so the other night, I was at a the missus, and I went to go see an author by the name of Dave Barry. I don't know if you guys know him. He's 77 years old. He was a longtime columnist. He still is a columnist, and has written several books and has written a sort of a biography on his life. And he was nearby us, so we went to go and see him. And in one of those things, good morning, John. Great to see you and happy Sunday. One of those things that I love, and welcome Alpha Channel, and welcome back to being a member. It was great to see you pop up before the stream started. It was fantastic. And and so after the the talk that he gave, the author talk he gave, he was signing books. Which, if you bought a ticket to the show, you got a copy of his book, and then he would sign it for you. And it turns out, and this is how life works, and this is the thing I love. I'm often reminded of. That there was a gal in line who directly in front of us, who was also in her 70s, and she was one of his elementary school classmates. So I'm getting set up to take a picture of my wife meeting Rick Barry, Dave Barry, not Rick Barry. I keep thinking the illustrator Rick Barry, Dave Barry, and I go to get ready to take a picture of my wife with Dave Barry, and Dave Barry sees me, and he's with this classmate, and he's like, "Would you take a picture of us?" And I'm like, okay, sure. So you know me. So I took a picture of him with his childhood classmate, which was sort of a beautiful moment to capture. And then I got her email, so I could email it to her. And so she was also a boomer, so it was fun to watch us navigate that. And so I got her the picture, and then last night or yesterday I got a message from her, and she was like, "Oh, thank you so much for taking a picture of me with Dave." That was very fortuitous, and I thought, oh, that's lovely to get a note like that. And then she said, "Are you a sailor by any chance? I would love to take you out on our boat and give you a tour of the bay." And I thought, life is wild. You never know what you're going to get. And Forrest Gump's mom is laughing somewhere, I suppose. And what was so beautiful about that moment is it's the kind of thing that just happens when you're in that kind of small town mentality, and you're in that kind of just talking to people and forming relationships with people and just trying to do what you can do wherever you are. And when somebody backs Springball or somebody backs Nosfero, I'm getting to tell them a story. Absolutely right, John. Amen. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Seriously, Admiral, I'm not even kidding. And that's coming from an Admiral, so I probably should do it. And welcome, Christopher Bouchard. Where are you? Where's Chris? He must be in here somewhere. Just saw a hello. So, Chris, if you're in here, welcome. Spaceman, how are you doing, brother? Waving and saying hello. It is great to see you, brother. I hope you are well. Um, and so yeah, that is one of those crazy things that happens, and you never know what's going to happen when you leave the house, and that can be both a source for an introvert like myself. That can be a source of terror and a source of excitement. So I didn't know what was going to happen when I was started working on Springball, and when I thought about launching that campaign. I had never done a painted comic book before. Now I have. I had never had no idea what the interest would be for Springball. I had no idea when John Malin saw it he was going to be excited and want to really be a force behind that book. You just never know. You just never know. And this is all the stuff that happens, where I was watching an older gentleman. I mean, Dave Barry is, I believe, how old is Dave Barry? 77. Thank you. 77. So he's older than me by, let me see, about 29 years, I think, if I'm doing the math right. So I'm almost 50 and he's almost 80. So I think that comes out about right. And but it was one of those things to where it's really nice to sit and sometimes have little adventures where you meet people who are very accomplished artists and in his own right as a writer, and then you just hear them, just talk about what they do and what happens. You just don't know what's going to happen. And every book and every comic and everything you get is is a chance at a conversation. It's a chance to get to know people. And I came into Comicsgate in, 2018, I think it was. But it really coming in through the Fandom Menace and Star Wars. And I never would have thought that there are nights I wake up, maybe I scream. I'm not going to share that with you guys here, but um there are times when I think, did Kathleen Kennedy make all this happen? That'll keep you up at night. Um but it's wild, you know. Um and I just, I'm reading Jordan Peterson's book, and then all of a sudden I'm realizing this guy talking about Star Wars is the illustrator of 12 Rules for Life. It's a very bizarre thing that happens. And so I had this experience, and I was just talking about it online with Gen X Catholic. If you're catching this later, I hope you are well, my friend. And one of the things that was really interesting about it is that when I was in Chattanooga, I was in a Walden Books, and I saw a cover to The Punisher, who was the character I was most interested in at that time. And the book was done. The cover was done by Wills Portacio, who I realized recently his name is William, and Wills is his nickname, like Wills, Wills, but he goes by Wills, Whilce, which was really fascinating. But he's a amazing artist, has done some really great stuff, and he was illustrating Punisher at that time. And so I had responded to Gen X Catholic about the Mike Baron Nexus, a hardcover, which is coming for all you fellow Nexus fans out there. And I thought, wow, like, what he was saying, I have all the single issues. And I said, what's really hard to get of Mike Baron's work is this trade paperback collection, which is called The Punisher, I forget what it's called, Stories, Kingpin, a book. It's volume 3. And Mike said, which books do you like from that series? And I, because I now know Mike Baron, the writer of that book. Chattanooga me would not have believed it. And then Mike just sent me and I said, oh, I love all the issues in between there. And Mike sent me a DM and goes, I'm sending you issue 16. It's crazy, man. Mike's awesome. Tarks 9, it is great to see you, and I love to see you rocking that Pigman in the profile. Timmy Mello, Kathleen sitting back in her dark room, pondering her witching ball. Yes, exactly. As it all came together. Yeah, it's a little scary, man. It's a little scary. How all this kind of craziness works. But I'm doing the best work that I've done in my life right now, and and to see Springball come back because of Comicsgate and because of my brother Rocky, just by chance, sharing it on his stream, and to see my first painted comic book come together and my excitement over the next book. And everything is, when I look at Springball now as opposed to when I was 25, I know the character, I know the world so much better, and it just is, I can't wait to share all this stuff with you. I was so excited to share Nosfero with Mark's Music Obsession that when he bought a head sketch, and Mark just backed like a maniac on the new Nosfero campaign, I was like, I have got to send him an advance copy of the Nosfero first edition, because he's been waiting to read. He's the reason that Second Chance campaign launched when it did. Yep, original title for Star Wars. Absolutely right. Yep, you come for the art, you stay for the people. Amen. It's absolutely true. From the Journal of the Wills. Oh, I know it well. I wish we had gotten that story. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Nexus hardcover too. It is going to be great. It is going to be great. It's all you, Sean. Thank you, Alpha Channel. God bless you. It's all you, Sean. You're an inspiration for all of us. We love you almost as much as your work. Well, thank you. My God, thank you so much, Alpha Channel. I do appreciate that. Really, truly. JWK Creates down to the last 5 days of Springball. I know, almost 25K. Can't believe it. That's awesome. I am very excited, JWK Creates. I had no idea how this book was going to go, and what's really funny is the engagement by you guys and the success of the interest of the backers is so invigorating to me as an artist. It actually turbocharges me and makes me want to do, like I wake up in the middle of the night with an idea, and I just think, okay, I'm going to do this and do this and do this, and it's always the tricky thing about about writing and doing any creative endeavor when you're your own boss is hey Katie, good morning, how are you? Or good afternoon or evening. Is it evening there? Good evening, Katie, I think. Have Nexus Scourge, great book. Kelsey's art is amazing. Mike sent me that as well. I have it right over here. Beautiful book, but I'm not going to read it. And the reason I'm not going to read it is because I never got a keychain when I was a kid, as many of you guys know. And so when I get a comic book that's signed, personalized to me, I can't read it. I got to put it away somewhere nice. I have to buy a reader copy. But yes, beautiful work. The cover is a stunning cover. 6:12 p.m. there. I'd say evening. All right, Katie. Then good evening, my friend, and very appropriate for this channel to say good evening. Caleb Reynolds saying, "What's up, John and Katie?" And Amoral Fat 40 ounce and Tarks9 saying, "Hail Timmy Mello." Love it. 5 hours ahead across the pond, says Timmy Mello, who is my my wingman, and he knows. He keeps me attuned, and he keeps me dialed in. So yeah, I mean it's the idea of myth, the idea of painting, the idea of comics. I was talking about where Springball lives in on a stream. I think it was on John's channel. Tarks9, welcome to the Crypt Walker level. We have a new channel member in the house. Welcome, welcome, Tarks9. And please allow me to send a cheerleader your way from the Good Morning Waffle Lodge. Here you go.
Charge!
It's a pleasure to have you with us again, my friend. And so, yes, it's a wild thing to me because I love the idea that everything I'm making, I'm is being handcrafted for you guys, and it's such an amazing freedom for creators to be able to talk directly to their fans and to be able to talk to one another in the case of somebody like Mike Barron and just kind of say, oh, here's an idea, or have you thought about trying this? And things happen, and we can actually get things moving. And I love that kind of investment, and I love the stuff that we're doing. Really is cool stuff. I think Springball is the way I was thinking about it just the other day is Springball is to that era of Todd McFarlane and David Michelini, or Liney, I don't know how to pronounce it, Spider-Man comics, as well as Evil Dead and all those other things, what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was to Frank Miller's Daredevil comics. Like, it's very much in that where it's creating something new, and it's like, sort of like a loving homage to that stuff while still trying to make it for today, because it has to exist in its own space. And while it always has, it's more so now because as you guys know, the older you get, the longer you live, the more stories hopefully you have to tell, the more experiences you have. And Springball, as he is right now, could not have existed before now because he's living in a 2025 world. So when it came time for me, and I was telling my wife about the place where he hangs out, his lair that's based on an actual, real, absolutely meta nerd reference. Absolutely, that's the origin. It's crazy. Um, is that the place where Springball lives, his hideout, is based on a real place that you wouldn't believe exists. And so I was telling my wife about it, and she's like, "So, like, why did you come up with that?" I go, "Because it actually exists." And I said, and that was the crazy. I saw it, and I go, "This has to be a thing in this book." And I cannot wait to to show you guys what it looks like and more of that kind of stuff. And it's not a complicated thing; it's just an insane thing that it exists. But it's wild. And his world, Springball's world, Kingsport. What's so fun about it is that Kingsport is much more like Metropolis, and it's much more like Gotham City than it is like a real place like New York or anything else like that. And it's rooted in this region. It's rooted in New England, to be sure, but it's its own thing. Lloyd, how are you doing? Good morning, my friend. Yes, indeed. It is great to see you on this stream, my friend. It is great to see you. And yeah, working on something that I think you might be interested in. Lloyd Burton, a real true, according to Hoyle, true blue patron of the arts, and uh, somebody I always loved doing work for. Just a kindred spirit, shall we say? But it's wild for me when I'm doing this kind of work to think about the fact that I get to tell these stories. So if people like the painted stuff I do, Nosfero is waiting right there for you. And if people, love that kind of era of comics with sound effects, but also comics with that sense of pop, that sense of pulp, that are relentlessly sincere, I know you're going to love what I'm doing with Springball. But either way, if you love the conversations that we have here, and you love the kind of things that we talk about, things we're passionate about, that kind of relentless optimism, give nihilism no quarter, you're going to love the books I do, because that's the fuel for them. The fuel for them is that love of heroism. Bruce Campbell's chin, how are you doing? Klaatu, Verada, n. I know your words. I love that part, Bruce Campbell's chin. And yeah, I was just saying I watched Evil Dead 2 and all the documentary features in the last 2 days, but I watched Evil Dead 2 2 nights ago, and really had a great movie watching experience watching it again. I don't know why. Sometimes you're just in the mood for something, but it was just the creativity, the fun, the silliness, the sense of play. It really is extraordinary. Really is extraordinary, and I love that stuff. I love that stuff. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. The Knights Who Say Knee, gotta love Monty Python, always good stuff. Yep, indeed. But he's saying hello, hello. Yeah, just the bundle of head sketches I have coming alone is amazing. I know. My missus was talking to me about that kind of thing the other day, in my memory and how I remember things, and I go, I don't have it written down somewhere. I kind of don't have to, but I do know that you would like a Creature from the Black Lagoon ink sketch if at all possible, and so I just put that stuff in my head and go, all right, when the time comes, that's what we're gonna do. And it's really fun. I mean, Lloyd got one of my favorite painted head sketches out of me that would not have happened had he not asked for it. It's such a strange thing, because that idea only happened because Lloyd wanted the Bride of Frankenstein, and that turned into a figure. That turned into, you know putting something, putting a figure in her hair, and some of my friends who work in concept art were just blown away by that. They're like, where did you get this idea? And I was like, I don't know. I just checked, and I've backed Springball 4 times so far. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Shadowhawk Talks. Very, very much so. Hail Bruce Campbell's chin. Let's see here. My favorite, of course, you remember. Yes, of course. Gotta remember. Um, it's really fun to live in this world of imagination and be around imaginative people. A book that I read recently, a Comicsgate book I read recently, was Private American. And for those of you guys who are a fan of Mike Barron's Punisher run and all the stuff he's done on Punisher, you really should check it out, because it really holds up with that stuff. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. It just took me back to um, Mike's just gift as a writer, and I'm sure Nexus in very much the same way. It's just very cool stuff. And it's so fun to put these details in and then move things over. Yeah, Private American was a great comic. Yeah. Well, I was telling people. So for those of you guys who don't know, um, the focus of my career, for equally as big of a part of my career as science fiction, fantasy illustration, and teaching and all of that stuff, was concept art, concept design. So I just got on this kind of thing after I was looking at Private American, and started messing around with an idea for concepting kind of a you know more superhero-y kind of iconic costume for him. And I had such a blast on that, because I haven't really done any concepting on that kind of stuff for a while. So I said, all right, I'm going to try that out. And man, it was a blast. So yeah, I've got to send that to Mike. I'm going to show that to Mike and see what he makes of it. But that's how my mind works when I'm playing around with various ideas. I was looking at some of my teaching material for when I taught character design, and it's wild. I had come up with these I'd come up with a methodology for both analyzing and trying to understand and hone what people are doing in character design. And it was this hypothesis I had of the four forms, the four elemental forms that are in all human design. And it sort of was something I went around. I lectured at MIT, and I taught courses on that at Rhode Island School of Design, and I think I did a workshop at Hasbro. I think I did a lecture there, in addition to doing concept art for Hasbro. So I've done a lot of work with it and things like that. And so that's really a part of, the ideas that I kind of tried to articulate there are part of what Springball's design is and what it's about. And that's the fun thing. Spaceman has to bounce. Take care. Have a great, wonderful rest of the day, Spaceman. And let's see, the time has come to say fair is fair, to pay the rent, to pay our share. Exactly right. I love it, man. You guys are killing me. My favorite course, my favorite, of course, remember, good. Just making sure I've got everybody here, who's got a chat there. But yeah, I mean, it's really fun to do because, you get to creatively kind of bounce off of other people, no pun intended. Back Springball on Indiegogo. He bounces. And so, yeah, the ideas that I've been getting to share with people about Springball, like the idea that, he can't close his eyes, he can't forget because he's this synthetic being. So he's got these lenses, so he doesn't need to blink, doesn't need to do all of that stuff. He's a character that there's a lot of room to explore and places to explore, narratively, what that does. And I understand the character so much more now. I mean, he's essentially got so many more layers to him, and I cannot wait to continue to explore this stuff. That's the fun part. Let's see here, Shanth. It was Beds Are Burning by Midnight Oil. There you go, an old song. I had a feeling it was. I couldn't remember though. My memory slaughtered that originally. There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a fun thing to me to, as a writer, to just keep challenging myself, and as an artist as well. Like, I look at a page sometimes, and one of the things I really enjoy about classic comics is just how much story they told in, a short span of time. I mean, it really is kind of remarkable. And I've always tried to think about that and push that as much as I can, to cover a lot of ground. And I was I was working on ideas for an additional 2 pages to the new Springball. And as I was working on it and I was designing it, I realized I had just sort of done this trope that I think is easy to get sucked into, where I was presenting a scene that alluded to something that had happened earlier, a flashback, so to speak. But the flashback wouldn't be revealed till later, and I just went, just do the scene, let it happen, let the audience be here. Why do the flashback thing? And you have to have that attitude when you're doing this stuff sometimes to go. You can find yourself not letting people have the experience. And I go, it's going to be so much more powerful if I could just show the damn thing. And so there's always little moments like that to where, you just there are things that I do when I'm writing that and illustrating, where I just go there. This has to, if I start with the process of this has to be dynamic, it has to be engaging to the audience. Of course, you're going to do, and have it read that way. Sheriff Psalms, it's great to see you. This painting goes hard. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Alpha Channel, even changing his person like that has the element of psychological terror. I can't sleep, can't close his eyes, can't forget. Very Lovecraft Shanth. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, and it's there's something about heroes. There's something about these characters where you've got to have something about them that brings some humanity to them. And what's weird is that I see a lot of stories where people are in entertainment today, where people are so about the world, so about this, they start writing and illustrating situations that no human being has experienced or ever will experience, and they just kind of hit you cold. And the human experience has got a lot to it, and it's weird to avoid all of that stuff in your writing. And superheroes, yes, science fiction, yeah, all those places it can happen, but it even happens in slice of life stuff these days, where you just think, who has that happened to? You know, like that's doesn't sound like, you know, it's not exciting or engaging. It's not a metaphor for anything. It really feels just disconnected from the human experience. And if you write to that experience, you're going to get, you know, when you study myth and legend and lore, which is what's been so great about working on this painting, is that you're going to get some real depth out of it. You're going to get some real depth into it too, which is again, that's the point of art. And so, you know, you can't write as a fan. You can't make artwork as a fan, and that's great because you don't want your artists to be um, approaching things with the mentality of, you know, the kind of fun experience you get to have as a fan. It's got to have a little bit of that job and that drive in it. And one of the things that Dave Barry was saying in his talk, you know, and this is coming from a 77-year-old writer, columnist, humorist, whatever you want to call him, he goes, you know, if something's not funny, anyone can tell you that. And that's the hardest thing about being a humorist in a newspaper. But the young man who was interviewing him was asked him uh, something about, he goes, well, don't you think, I've found that as a creator, as a whatever, that you know, it's got to be personal. It's got to be about you. It's got to be the stuff that you like and you do this, and it's got to be your authentic self. And Dave, you know, paused for a second and he goes, kind of, yeah, but mainly it's got to entertain. It's got to make people laugh in the case of a humorist. And he goes, you may find your authentic self is not somebody anybody wants to meet. And I just laughed so hard because there's so much of this stuff that is that people get confused by, is that it's not how do I put it? A stand-up comic is not going into do comedy to make themselves laugh. They can do that at home. And that's a little scary for that matter. You're going in there to entertain people. So yes, of course you have to mean it. It's not about constructing some, you know, crazy persona. I mean, if you've got that gift, you can do it, I'm sure. But when you're making your artwork, I'm always thinking about how is this going to impact the reader? How is this going to be interesting? Is this going to be I don't know, when I'm doing Nosfero, I'm like, is it sexy enough? Is it beautiful enough? Is it engaging enough? Is it has it got some beautiful moments of hope in it, of characters, and you know, is it something that they're going to want to like be happy to have in their book collection? It's the same thing with painting. It's the same thing with SPRINGBALL. It's the same thing with all of it. And even too, when I'm doing videos or intros, you know, there's the goal of those is to move comic books, but it's also to you know, really look at what the person's work is, and then trying to do something that benefits that work. But it's never a me party ever with this stuff. It just isn't. And if it was, it would not be fun to read. You know, it's a wild thing, but those things will obviously overlap in the best cases. You know, you're going to be doing stuff, but I really do try to entertain the audience, and I really do try to put beauty in front of people because I think that that's what it is. It's much more of a I treat it much more like I don't know how to describe it. I really don't, because I was going to say I don't treat it because I don't treat it like a job either. It is a job though, and I treat it like a job as well, but not purely. Because again, you guys are who are patrons of the arts. So you guys are giving me the resources because you want me to go out there and push it, you know, to push that work and to see where it can go and explore things. And there's some moments in Nosfero that I love, but I wouldn't like I had a conversation with my wife about nudity in art. And I said to her, I go, you know what's funny about this stuff? Tank Ferret, welcome. It's good to see you, man. Hail to all you magnificent bastards and bastards. Wonderful to see you. The thing about it that was so funny is I go, when I paint a nude female figure in Nosfero, which it has a little bit of that, it's totally different than the idea of drawing it in ink, which I wouldn't do. For some reason, when you paint a figure, when you draw a figure in ink nude, it's very hard to make it a nude figure. It tends to be a naked figure. As weird as that sounds. When you paint a nude figure when you paint it, it's almost like it gives a degree of elegance to it or something. I don't know what that is. And I said, it's a very weird sort of thing. I don't know quite how to describe it. And there's certain stories that I picture telling in paint or painting a certain way. And there's certain stories I think of as I'm doing SPRINGBALL, which is in, digital media, and it's paint drawn in digital media, just like Nosfero is in traditional, but it's a very different stylistic, because I think that the cartooning could be emphasized. But there's things I could do in SPRINGBALL that would be, in my opinion, they wouldn't work in Nosfero, or they would go too far in one way or the other. They'd be too silly or what have you. And there's stuff in Nosfero that's just too poetic, too romantic, too heavy. Like, there's a different kind of romance involved when I'm doing something like SPRINGBALL. I'm sorry, Nosfero, than when I'm doing SPRINGBALL. And I love that freedom. That's the stuff that makes it fun. And I mean, I'm also writing I haven't written on it in a while because I've been so busy with SPRINGBALL, much like many things. But I'm also working on a novel, and that's a very different thing too. I'm working on a short novel because I had a story I needed to tell, and it just came out that way. How much for a nude painting of Wonder Woman? Oh my lord. Um, yeah, that would be an interesting one. It wouldn't look like Wonder Woman though. That's the problem. Alpha Channel says, one of my animation teachers said, if you don't love the work, if you don't love doing it, how can the audience? What's unique about art is that your feeling while creating it always comes through. Yeah, you know what's so funny is too, it's, yeah, like, I don't know if there's an answer to this stuff. I guess I just talk about it because it fascinates me. But I look at, I get so excited about artwork. I get so excited about other people's artwork. And it's a different sort of feeling. Like, it was strange to me that I've been working on SPRINGBALL so much that I haven't had any time to really do any traditional painting. And when you think about it, I'm making, artwork, and I'm painting when I'm working on SPRINGBALL, right? But for some reason, needing to kind of connect with and paint on a canvas is just something I need to do. It's just, I don't know what it is, but it's why there's I don't know. I always tell people that every artist has a certain amount of paintings in them, and because they have that much time, however much time they have on this planet. And if you want to own something, and if you want to get something that is really, really rare, back a head sketch, back a painting, those things, there's a finite number. There's a tick, tick, tick of the clock, and that's it. And that's why that stuff, I think, is always so valuable to people, and it's so precious to people. Because you get a certain amount of novels, you get a certain amount of whatever it may be. And for me, I always said that to my students, and it was truer than I realized recently, which is, when I decided I was not interested in teaching, as teaching had become what it had become, where I was working. Um, it was like there were a finite amount of students who got to have me in a classroom teaching. And, I don't know what the plan is for my future, because I never know how things are going, apparently. But as far as I know, in that particular time teaching college, they were the ones who got it. That was that. And I was really good at it. But the only person who even gets an approximation of what that was like now is Eric. And Eric is kind of seeing what that experience is like. And maybe, who knows, maybe that'll be something that's a part of YouTube at some point. But right now, I mean, I'm sure I'm always doing some level of teaching, no matter what I do. But it's a crazy thing to think about. And right now, it's the same thing with comics. And it's the same thing with Comicsgate. Like, getting on these campaigns and backing these books when they're this is very rare. Like, there's not going to be a lot of people who back Nosfero and SPRINGBALL during the crowdfunding days. And wherever they go from here, these will be the days that will be legendary. These will be the works and the print runs that are incredibly low, incredibly rare, and incredibly hard to track down. And that's the coolest thing in the world for you guys. And I love it. That's why I love backing books too. They remind me of a time and a place where things were really happening. One of the coolest things about Comicsgate. I love painting these scales. It's a real blast. Tammy D saying, "Sup, John? I wish my art teachers were cool like you. We fought all the time. I fought with my art teachers as well. It happens. My art teacher was more concerned with fact he was once nominated for an award rather than um, his students earning their own. Yes, oh, I see what you mean. My art teacher was more concerned with the fact he was not once nominated for an award. Got you. Than his students were earning their own. Yes, that's a real problem. Yeah, yeah, it is. It's a real problem because and um great teachers are rare, very rare. They're like anybody great in a particular field. You can't explain what, like, it's a natural ability, it's an investment, it's a lot of different things. But it's like that it quality in art. It's what people can do everything correct, and you can't really come up with a style. You can't really fake a style. You've just got to have that thing. And I've always had a style about my work, and it used to frustrate me because when I was younger, I wanted to do my work and have it look like this person's stuff or that person's stuff, or I wanted to be able to do this one particular thing. But if someone were to ask me, um, hey, Sean, um, you know, uh, what's your style, or where do you get that idea from, or where do you do that in style? I just don't know. I just do it. And a lot of the artists that I love and I admire tell that story as well. That was a factor for them. They just kind of did it. And it's I could never look at something and target a look. The same thing with coming up with a personality or something like that. It seems just as foreign to me because it seems exhausting and it seems like a waste of time. Like it would just be a waste of energy. So I have to kind of do what I do, and it gets you into trouble, but it pays off in the end. You know. Let me see here. Someone saying hello, hello. I'm good, says Tammy. I had to wait for someone to buy some of my Stephen King books. There you go. Wow, very cool. Let me see here. For the extra money or for the space? Both, John. There you go. Stephen King is too far left now. Yeah, I've heard that. It's kind of a wild. It's kind of a wild thing. Yeah, people are funny that way. People get really sucked into that stuff. I think that's an issue with the internet, or I should say with being online on social media too much too. If that's an addiction that a person is prone to, particularly as a creator, as an artist, um, I think it can be exhausting. Like you can forget you're a person, and everybody needs to take time, to just sort of be a person. Even on streams, I was watching some of the streams I watch are would probably not surprise you guys who know me. But there's this stream I like of this woman, and I think her name is Holly Morocco or Moras. I don't know how you pronounce her last name, but she rehabilitates um, orphaned beaver babies, which is really wild. And she works like crazy, and it's very slow. It's very chill, and she's having to take care of them and help them learn how to swim and all of that stuff. Um, and it's that's the stuff that relaxes me. I like watching 18th century living with John Townsend and Townsend's. I love that channel. Lots of stuff like that. Love watching Bob Ross. Love listening to Art Bell. Enjoy the Y Files. All of that kind of stuff. I do love the long form and long format stuff. It's enjoyable and it's not as constant in your face. But I think politics is where art typically goes to die. Cranberry Landers, it is great to see you, my friend. Welcome. Speaking of OG, and indeed, Sean, hope everybody's having a good Sunday or Monday, depending on where you are, where your neck of the woods is. And thank you. I hope you are as well, Cranberry Landers. But yeah, Stephen King is he's best when he's writing and occupying that fiction space. That's the most important thing. That's what he does, and he can have whatever opinions he wants to have. We are a free country, thank God. But yeah, it's a strange thing to me because I don't know. I don't put a lot of I don't know. I think the art is such an important thing, and I do have opinions and thoughts on things. I really do. I mean, because as an artist, I see work, but there's so much stuff out there that's great that sometimes I want to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, I definitely can tell you, I've I don't want to make people think I don't have my thoughts. I absolutely do, but um, they're much more about structure. They're much more about cliches of response. They're much more about history than they are current politics. I like to kind of look at the arc of history more than what's happening right at that moment. Oh, I only read The Green Mile. There you go. How was that for a book? That's a pretty heavy book. I study and reference everything when I practice my sketches. Absolutely, especially those how to draw books and videos. Yeah, those are really important. Yeah. Yes, anyone to watch The Last Kingdom, the costumes and scenery was just amazing. Yes. See, that's the stuff it's really easy to pull me into, as an artist. I love that stuff. Love things like that. And even with this, I was researching the mythology of dragons, and I was researching the mythology of this type of imagery and this type of story. And one of the things that really informed it was, if I can find it here, is I was like, I want to have a sort of a secondary light source where this dragon is. And it turned out that, I was like, it's going to frame these skeletons in this sort of cave where this dragon is occupied. And I was like, all right. And then when I really started getting into the ceiling area, and I think I was working on this with when I was giving Eric his lesson, but I'm not sure. Um, I think I was started working on it the day before. Getting that debris to fall the way that it does, and to kind of create that lyrical quality to it was part of the thing that makes the painting work for me. And it's the same thing with Springball, thinking about Kingsport, thinking about the town, thinking about, or the city of Kingsport, thinking about um but I more what I used to do when I was younger is whenever I thought of a town or a city or a character, I would picture my favorite artist and like what they would do and what kind of city they would illustrate. But eventually get enough life experiences where you want to do things where it's just natural to say, you picture the city, you picture a city, and a place, and a place you'd like to take people, and it's just so much more freeing. Now, some of that likely comes from getting proficient at drawing and painting, because my ideas have benefited a lot from the fact that I can draw and paint now. I mean, that's the big thing. It's like trying to write a book without the language. You have no vocabulary. So the more vocabulary you have, the better you're able to do things. I just have a lot more freedom now. I have a lot more freedom to create work because of what I can do technically, which is really nice. I've done some stuff recently that I'm just very proud of. I was looking at the piece I did for Battle Brick Road for Eric Weathers. Really proud of that. It's a really solid painting. And then I was looking at something the other day that I can't quite remember. What was that? Get that little fleck of paint out of there. There we go. Yeah, I mean it's a wild thing. Let me see here. Oh my gosh, lots of comments in the chat. The woman with the dragon tattoo. There you go. For me, it's not a background. It's the environment. Yes, 100%. Yep, yep. The chat is moving as always, guys. Welcome. Hit the like if you have not hit the like yet. Share this out. Tell people we're having waffles, or we wish we were having waffles, one or the other. And to come on by, say hello, and drop a like. And like I said, if you're just now getting here or you're just now seeing this, I have updated the Springball campaign to allow for more add-ons. So some people were wanting to add books onto various tiers. I did my best to do as much as I can without making the campaign insane on my end. So if you wanted to go back and add a cover or do whatever you need to do with that, the covers are now available as add-ons, and so is the throwback edition of issue 1. So there are a lot of opportunities to kind of put more things together if you so desire. So there you have it. Everybody's saying hello to Cranberry Landers. Admiral Wackass saying hello. I love how you guys are all gifting one another covers lately. It's funny. It's funny. I mean, it's a natural thing for artists. I think one of the best things about it is it's a sign that your peers are excited by your characters and your work. And creating characters that are exciting visually, that people want to draw them, is not an easy task at all. And I think that's why we do this stuff. Shanth, who is paying you to paint more scales. Yeah, I think it's in my contract with God uh, that I have to paint. I have to paint more scales. But yeah, a very very supportive patron of mine is definitely paying me to paint more scales and to yeah, just to get that energy into it, because whenever I do a painting, I always think that someone's going to be, particularly when it's a canvas painting, somebody's going to be looking at this. It's going to be a part of their life, and they're going to study it, and not in a way. It's like they're just going to go into it like an environment. It's almost like making a garden or a Zen garden for somebody, and I want it to be something that yeah, that they can really appreciate, spend time with, in the best sense of appreciation, like a walk through nature and just letting those little lighting moments happen across it. You know what I mean? For the next 2 weeks, I can't show what I'm working on. Oh, there we go. So I have 10 plus hours of stream time to fill with fan art. Everyone DM me your character turnarounds. There you go. Which cover do you like most, Sean? If it won't upset people, I don't think it'll upset anybody. Which cover do I like of that I've ever done, or for Spring Ball, or because Spring Ball, that'd be a tough one because I like them all. Um, it's a wild thing, Sean, I should have you draw something like a dragon or something so I can tattoo it. There you go. Yeah. Well, will Spring Ball go in demand? How long, if so? Yes, it will go in demand. For how long, I'm not sure. That just depends. Uh, oh, of Spring Ball. Got you, Cranberry Landers. Well, that's a tough call. I like, how do I put it? I like every single cover on Spring Ball. Like, I love both covers I did. I love John's cover as well. Um, but like personally for me, um, it's gonna be the John Malin cover, but because one, there's just so much wrapped up in that. Like I love the art. I think it's beautiful. I love what he did with Spring Ball, and I love all that stuff. But it's just yeah, it's just to me it just goes into that kind of even more personal realm of somebody giving you a cover, giving you the gift of artwork, somebody giving you the investment. Like there's more in that cover for me than just purely aesthetic. So I might be biased, but I love that cover. That would be my favorite cover for this campaign, because also I have never had in all my crowdfunding, I have never had a cover on any of my books that wasn't by me. I never even thought of that. I don't know if I would have even said, "Oh, I want that." Like I want to have some alternate covers that aren't me. But that one I do. That one I saw it and I was like, my God, of course. And so yeah, that's a big thing for me to have someone else doing a cover on one of my books. It's not typically something I do. Because it's just not like me to do that. And but that cover and John doing it is great. And I'm certainly not against it. It's just I'm always thinking about, because when I back books, I always back books. If I buy an alternate cover, I always back a cover by the interior artist, because that's just one of my things. But yeah, it's special on so many levels, that cover John did. Yeah, yeah, John's cover is fantastic. Agreed, Tarks Knight. Agreed. Um, I it's funny. I've always wanted to see how certain artists would do their take on characters. And in Comicsgate, John is definitely one of the people that I would say, when it came to Spring Ball, I was like, I'd love to see John's take on Spring Ball. The fact that it happened is still completely um, insane to me. It's a wild thing. I never would have imagined John donating his time and his skill and his energy, um, to not only just to push the campaign and the launch of the campaign, but also with his art to do a cover, because I think that that's something that is yeah, it's I can't quite explain it. The superlatives um run dry a little bit for it, because it's just it's special gift from one artist to another, and I appreciate it very much. Yeah, there we go. We're getting this together. We're getting this together. Yeah, I mean it's I loved. I mean, John was, for people who don't know, John was very has been very supportive of the stuff I'm doing, both with Springball and with Nosfero. And one of the most um, fun things for me to do, and it got a great painting out of me, was he invited me to participate in the Visions book for Godlike, and he offered me a double page spread where I did a painting of Lascivia that some of you guys might know. And that was a book that John did, which is, it's very much John in that sense. He's always trying to spotlight and point out creators and artists, and so he actually did a book for Visions where everybody got to paint and create, do an illustration, or hire someone to do an illustration of their own character. Now that's a wild thing. Usually, if someone's going to pay you to do artwork for a book, it's going to be of their character. So it was both a really great opportunity for people to promote the stuff they were doing, creators inside of Comicsgate, but it was also a chance to really highlight the skill and the work. And so that was something he did that was really great to be a part of, a really fun experience. And so yeah, he's kind of been just really great to have to talk about and to explore Springball with. And so I know he has a vision in his mind when I was first talking about this idea, and he was sharing that vision with me when he did that cover, which was very cool. But then, I mean, that's just how I am. I like artists, and I like conversations with artists, which is guided most of my life. I think that it's important to have, for artists to have friends who are artists. It's frankly also important for them to have friends who aren't artists. Let's be clear, um, but it's important to, because you can have these conversations about painting and layout and lettering, and you can't really have those with a lot of people because um, it's a very specific skill set, and we get to have those here. Hey, what's up, Michelle Bowers? How are you doing? Hail and good morning to you. Yeah, John's cover knocked my socks off. Yeah, I think Ethan was blown away by it too. Really loved it. Tank Ferret saying hello. Mikey saying hello. Yeah, Comicsgate founding father, John Malin. Yep. And yeah, now that's available as an add-on, which is great for people who haven't backed it. But yeah, John's cover is really beautiful. Really great cover. And so when I was looking at it, actually, hang on a second here. Let me see if I can do this. Overlay. Let me see what I have here. Do I have it? I wish I had it in here somewhere. Hang on a second. File, find. Let's see if this works. Drag it there. Drag it there. And then we're going to try this. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm going to see if this works here. Let's do a overlay. New image overlay. God knows where this is going to end up. We'll see. And then we'll pop that up on screen. So there you guys go. For those of you guys who haven't seen it, this is John Malin's cover for Springball Terminal Monstrosity. Now, John, I know, is, obviously was very excited about this character, and had a vision for this piece, which I think is beautiful. And so when it came time to make the decision of it, I was like, I'm not going to have a logo. I'm not going to put the Springball logo on it because I want it to just be the artwork on the cover. And I think he was excited about that because composition wise, this is kind of new for him. He's got, yeah, it's an insane pose. It's a fantastic pose. I mean, I like John's work. And I know that sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, but obviously, but I do. I really like the stuff he does. He has a couple of covers and a couple of things he's done that really just stand out in my mind where I went, that is fantastic. Like, that's really great stuff. And seeing him do what he does so well with my character is just, again, it's amazing. I would encourage everybody to grab this cover. It is, I still don't believe it. I don't think I'm going to. It's a very strange thing. I mean, people talk to me about things like whether it's Comicsgate Kings or talking art and books with Mike Barron, or I mean, it's the personal relationships more than anything else. But I'm so busy doing the work and working on art and working on books that sometimes I don't have enough time, or you know, I'm writing and I'm trying to create things to where if I stop for a second, I think I would just not know what to do, man. It would be overwhelming. Like one of my books, yeah, the depth is nuts. Hang on a second, let me grab this real quick. Whew. Another cover on a white background with no logo, um, that John did is this. This is the cover to. Oh, actually, hang on a second here. Let me hide that. There we go. So if you look at the cover to Omega Storm by John Malin, this is one of my absolute favorite John Malin covers. Really, really great stuff. And I backed this cover. Um, I think I backed the book twice, but I backed this cover because I just like I'm buying art. Like I will buy a cover for art. It's the same thing with the Dan Lawless Private American cover, which I really love. But for me, that's one of my favorite John Malin covers. Love this cover by Dan Lawless for those of you guys who haven't seen it for Private American. Really great cover. But there's just sometimes I'll see covers that I just think, well, that's a dynamite cover. This is also one of my favorite covers by John. Love this, the convention exclusive Godlike Romulus saga. There's something about the lean and the figure, and there's something about the way that he did the detail lines on there that's great. But you can see those sensibilities, and you can see what he's doing here with that spring ball cover. It's great. You know, that's the stuff I love about it. So whenever I sit down to draw or I sit down to paint, I'm always trying to bring the maximum of what I can bring to it, and you know, just really kind of go for it. And that's the attitude I think that John has, and that's the attitude that I think Dan has, and that's the attitude I know Ethan has and Shane has. There's this I don't know how to describe it, but I don't know how to do I'm not really good at doing things halfway. It's not really something that I enjoy doing. I'm kind of all in, balls to the wall, as one might say, with regards to spring ball and anything else. So yeah, like when I'm was designing the first pages of Nosfero Death Will Die, it's epic. I mean, it starts epic. It just goes, man. I just got John's Thunderbolts trade. Never read his mainstream stuff. Neither have I. I haven't read it, but that stuff looks great. I think I was flipping through it on Stream for him. I shared the Amazon reader sample. What that was absolutely nice. Nice little thumb. I know. I thought that as soon as I held it up, I went, oh, Lord. Oh my goodness. I like Spring Ball cover the best. I like the Spring Ball cover the best of all those three. Agreed. Me too. I mean I think that there's a reason why um, people have had such a strong and visceral reaction. I think it's also because not only have we not had a character like Springball in the mainstream in a long time, we haven't had a character. We certainly haven't had a character like that in Comicsgate yet. That's a just a you know really, and I really was that there a lot of thought went into that design. So it's not certainly not happenstance. But I really designed that character to be a superhero and to do certain things while having it explainable why he is the way he is in the story. And I just don't think we've had that in a while. Everything has been very deconstructionist. Everything has been very, meta, unfortunately. And I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in one of my favorite bands I like to listen to is, of course, for me, is Oasis. I love Oasis. I've always loved their stuff. Love those crazy boys because they approach things. And I remember there was an interview by Noel Gallagher where he was talking about young artists talking to him, and he goes, "Nobody seems to have a problem with the style. There's a lot of style. Everybody's got the right haircut, the right jacket, the right like they put a lot of thought into that." He's like, and what I would say to them is, write an effing chorus. Write a song with a chorus. Like, where's the structure? Where's the beef? You know what I mean? And so when I go to create a story, I'm trying to tell a story, and that involves a story that has an end. It's going to go somewhere. And there's meaning. I know exactly what terminal monstrosity means. It's actually a metaphor. It's an expression that I'm using. It's not just a cool phrase. It's something I'm using to drive a point home at the end of the arc of these three issues of Springball. And Springball's design has a purpose. It has a meaning. I can explain why he looks that way, but it's not the explanation. It's not world building. It's not all of those kinds of things. It's based off of the fact that he's got to be, bless you, he's got to be a catchy tune. You know, he's got to be designed for his purpose, and then I have to execute that purpose. And so if the goal is to make a superhero character, a character that's going to resonate with people, you've got to design something that's aesthetically pleasing, that works, has form and function, and resonates. And to me, that's the equivalent of writing a chorus. Like, that's what it is, you know. And Nosfero is the same way. Nosfero, in a lot of ways, is I was watching the movie Kronos Vampire Hunter, which I had not seen until I got that special edition Blu-ray that I have over there. Everybody was going, "Have you seen Kronos?" I had always thought, forgive me, I had always thought Kronos from the title was some kind of weird space story, and so when they said it was about vampires, I'm like, in space, you know, kind of like Life Force or something. But I don't know why that got stuck in my head, like why I thought that, but I was looking at this story and I go, man, this idea is interesting, and I actually went down some of those roads creatively, like I actually had a hunchback assistant for Nosfero that was kind of like an Igor, which is actually something they have in Kronos. Blows my mind. And at the last minute, it was a hunchback werewolf. And at the last minute, I went, no, I need a strong father figure in this story. That's what I need for this story. And so Greylock was born and turned into something completely different. Um, yeah. Oh, funny you say that. Yeah, there's a page in the book where that happens. And it's yeah, I don't know how to describe it. I love Kronos. I think it's a great flick. It is. Like I said, I have a massive super Blu-ray edition of it that I just got. I mean, this thing is crazy. It's got a book with it. It's got all these bonus features. It's got 2 or 3 versions of the film and a documentary on the writer and director of the film, Brian Clemens. Really incredible and interesting guy. Was the showrunner for Avengers and just did some great stuff. But Avengers was, again, another show that knew how to get what it needed to get done. And Springball is very much that. You know, when they sat down and when they were creating Evil Dead and they put Evil Dead out there, when people saw that movie, they're like, this couldn't have come from a studio, that first Evil Dead movie. And it was the same thing with the sequel. Well, in much the same way, Springball will fail to me. It will be a failure in my mind if it's a story that Spider-Man could do. If Spider-Man did the story that's in Springball, he'd be pushed way out of his comfort zone. And we'd have to reinvent the entire world he lives in. Because Spider-Man does not belong in H.P. Lovecraft. He just doesn't. Springball is weird because Springball pushes H.P. Lovecraft and that kind of mythos into a new sphere, and particularly into 2025. It's not retro. It's not a throwback. It's not. The evil of Lovecraft, I believe, is timeless, which is why it worked so well in the movie Alien, and it worked so well in The Evil Dead, because Evil Dead took place in modern times when it came out. And it's saying, this stuff is timeless. We may have forgotten it, we may not believe in it, we may not think it exists, but it's still out there. And in Springball's world, it's very much 60s. It has the 60s Marvel kind of, I don't want to say maybe the ethos, but I think it's much more um, the sincerity of that stuff, but without the contemporary social stuff as much as it has the timeless mythology stuff. And Spider-Man has a rogues gallery of characters that are very human. They're very down to earth. They live in New York. Um, in the Lovecraft world, you can go anywhere with that. You can go anywhere. There's magic. There's legit, what is this sorcery that goes on? Yeah, exactly. Hey, man, don't speak like that. Springball ain't failing in any way. I hear you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, don't ruin it like they did Spawn, Sean. I won't. Don't worry. Don't worry, Mike. But what was so funny is I was working on a page of Springball, and I was looking at it, and I just go, yeah, there's got to be an electrical fence here. There's got to be. Do you guys want to see how scribbly Springball pages get? I have to let me see if I can share this with you. Hang on a second. Hopefully this will work. So here's the funny part. I did figure out why the screen share thing wasn't happening, but I don't know if I'm any closer to making it happen. But let's try it. Let's try this. Let's do a. I'm gonna try to do an overlay and see if this works. And this is the stuff that wakes me up in the middle of the night where I go, "Oh, I've got to do that." And try not to like spoil anything too, which is the scary part of this. The scary part about screen sharing is the potential for spoiling things. There we go. Let's see if this works here. Don't know if it's gonna, but we're gonna try. So let me do a overlay, new. Let's see here, new image overlay. And nope, don't want to do that. That was the wrong one. Overlays. New screen share overlay. There we go. Look at that. There's a screen share overlay. Now all I have to do is make it Adobe Photoshop. There we go. So that makes it a little bit easier because now you're just seeing Photoshop and I can put it wherever I want to. So this right here, here's a look at the latest revision to Springball page 1. Okay, so let's take a stroll. Let's take a stroll through Springball page 1. So I realized I needed an electrical fence, which I'm currently painting in right here. I knew I needed an electrical fence around the science laboratory because it wouldn't make sense otherwise for how it works in the story. I know that even though you will never see this, this will look like a dot. I had to know that Springball changed poses from one shot to the other because he's about to go spring into action, go off somewhere. But here's the bigger aspect of it. This is one of the biggest changes that is a very important part of the story that I finally found a solve for. Is what you see in the bottom right-hand corner of this frame. Yeah, no spoilers. Don't worry, Mark. But I do love for you guys to get an inside track on how the creativity of all this stuff goes, right? So take a look at that. That's going to be a big part of what happens. This little peek out the window inside of the fenced area. Now, if you know a little something about Evil Dead, you know a little something about what it means when you see a hatchway that's chained shut. There you have it. So there's your little peek into just page 1 of Springball is covering a lot of ground. Yep. Yeah, they do. My scribbly sketch lines are the exact same in painting. I create these wild things and I pull something out of it. So speaking of Mike Barron, and because I've got Photoshop open, let me see if I can find this here. I'll open recent. Where would it be? Is that it right there? Maybe. Yeah, here you go. So for those of you guys who know the Private American comic book, I started playing around with, and I said, what would I do if I was designing the Private American? And where would I take it? And this was where I went with it because he has the "Don't Tread on Me" snake on his chest. I wanted to create an icon with the snake head, so I wanted to put them together, and also in doing a nod to Mike's Punisher work, but also a nod to something else. Simply Green, what's up? Now with Kung Fu grip action. Amen. Simply Green, my man. It's good to see you, brother. How you doing? And so when I was putting him together, I said, what would I do if I was taking the Private American and making him into, a Shanth character designed character? And the thing I realized is that I would need to cross him with something that was really powerful iconically for me. But also then using those character principles. And so I said, I want to make Private American a cross between the Punisher and Conan the Barbarian. So if you know anything about John Milius's Conan the Barbarian and the makeup on the face, that's what I'm referencing here. That's what I'm using for the idea for it. So I started playing around with this and exploring it and exploring like what I could do and where this thing could go. And these are just me doing exploration sketches. You know, he's the character is a Cuban American, so I was looking at Cuban boxers, and one in particular, Yuriakis Gamboa, who is a was an outstanding boxer, the Cyclone of Guantanamo, as he was known. And I wanted to use sort of references to him, and then another heavyweight Cuban boxer. But I was just playing around with stuff. But this is what I do in my free time, man, and it's just free time. This is what I do when I'm trying to wind down and jog to a stop. But it's the idea of how could I take a character, and I just love doing little things like there are these diamond pattern on his legs on either side. That's the sort of the yellow, and it's just sort of like a reference to a diamondback snake, although that's not how they would look. And I just love the idea of having the rattles of the snake tails almost be like teeth, and it's this kind of ghost face, this creepy mythology face. But that's the kind of stuff that's the stuff that's possible that we're able to do here when we're working. And so yeah, when I'm doing what I do, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, like how am I going to do this stuff? That's my attitude. I'm trying to push things to the most, you know. Oh, you just drew a diamondback snake, cranberry lanterns, awesome, man. So yeah, like let me see if I can figure out where this is. There to screen share. There we go. So yeah, so that's a big part of being in this space and being in a, you know, Comicsgate is very creative. There's a lot of incredible people with you know, we have our careers, our industry time, but we also have that sort of drive and desire to self-publish because it is a tremendous amount of work to stream, to work, to keep an organized studio, to keep a marriage and family and all the other stuff you've got to keep doing. All of us have got a lot of different things going on at any given time. And the thing that makes Comicsgate what it is and makes it such a pleasure to be in is that you know that there's a bunch of other people having the exact same experience that you're having. They're doing the same stuff. They're working really, really hard and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And so that's you know, that's the excitement for me. That's what makes it, you know, as fun as it is, which is quite fun indeed. So now I'm going to bring some of this value. The thing about the scales is, and the thing about when I'm doing scales on a dragon, which is weird to say because this is my first real dragon painting, is that I like there to be moments of detail where things turn into the light, but I don't like the detail to be everywhere because it can affect the sweep of it. So even here, you see me trying to break up the linear sort of predictable rhythm with paint and color, so that it's not just contrasty equally everywhere. That's why I like to do, you know, these very contrasty sections of the scales, and then I get to do things where I like wash that back and do a nice wash over it, and then that's going to allow it to kind of have a much more believable, or not even believable, rhythmic, let's say, more aesthetic um, impact on the reader. Because if it was all one thing, it'd almost be like white noise. Yep, snake, indeed, indeed. Yeah, I mean, there's so much cool stuff to do. What's up, Corey Landis? How are you doing? And welcome to the Good Morning Waffle Lodge. Organization time is a real bummer. Yes. Yeah, I mean, the organizing time and organizing, you know, what you're doing across time is always tricky. I'm always holding so many things in my head at one given time, and that's the real challenge. I would tell anybody for doing this stuff is you've got to have, like, I was a teacher for a while, so I had syllabus, I had students, I had, you know, 20 something people, I had a 90-mile commute back and forth. So and also I had twins, you know, my kids. So it's, yeah, like some of us are just, we develop it, of course, but you know, you've got to have a lot of experience with putting a lot of weight on the bar in order to do Comicsgate and be able to manage all the different things you do. And you're not going to do them all perfect, but yeah, you know, the thing I think we all always have to remember is that you know, it breaks a lot of people, man. It break a lot of people to have to keep track of all that stuff. That is why so few people do. You know, to try to be excellent while you're doing 1,000 other things that you have to be solid at all the time is tricky. But if you love that kind of nonsense and insanity like a lot of us do, it's the right place. What's up, Leg Kick One? How are you doing, my friend? Afternoon. It is great to see you. Some are working really hard on their art. Others are clout chaos. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, it's I just think, God, it's a crazy thing. It's a really crazy thing. How this whole art thing goes, because someone came up to me. I mean, if I was giving somebody advice, if I was going to give somebody advice and someone came up to me and said, "What would you rather be in general, not for me specifically, but what would you rather be? Would you rather be um making comics or reading them?" I would go reading them all day long. Like, this is insane to want to do. You have to, like, need to do this. And so it always strikes me as odd, because I like to watch fights. I like to go, "Oh, he should have done this, he should have done that," but not like really he should. I could go, "Oh man." Usually I'm praising the opposition of the two boxers. I seldom go, "You know what I would have done?" because that's insane. Um, I know how hard it is. Like, the idea of being a boxer might sound like a great idea to some, but road work first thing in the morning is not fun. That is why people who do road work and are really incredibly conditioned boxers uh, are a rare breed and tend to do well. Because you get to that sixth round and you're gassed, which I watched happen at a fight the other day where a guy was just really, working a guy over. And the other guy knew this guy's going to fade. And he just knocked him out in the fifth round. And I just went, oh, man. And it's tough. Like, what are you going to do? Well, it's the same thing with Comicsgate. A lot of people, and the industry and art and teaching is a really big example, because my wife and I both, she holds the record for the longest amount of time teaching in this house, but I taught for about, if you include teaching C and all that other stuff, but 20 years. And a lot of teachers come in and they're all excited at first, and then they have their first hiccup and they realize it's going to keep going, and they're like, huh, this is hard. And it's like, yeah, you got to be that excited for 18 years. You got to stay in that zone. Comics are the same thing. A lot of people come into Comicsgate and they're really excited. I'm going to be the most Comicsgate person in the world, whatever the hell that means. And, I've been here since 2018, and I can tell you, I've seen a lot of people come. I've seen a lot of people go. I've seen a lot of people, just flame out and burn out, freak out, and everything in between. And it's the biggest part of it is not only passion, but it's discipline. You've got to be very disciplined about getting stuff together, getting stuff done. Like, the biggest thing for me about add-on perks. So Springball is going to allow people now to add books. Even people internationally, if you back at a particular tier, you have the opportunity to add books onto that campaign. Why did that take so long for me to get set up? Well, one, I'm a one-man show, and two, my biggest concern is making a mistake that has financial repercussions because I punched in the wrong number or did the wrong thing. Like, that's a concern I live with outside of painting, outside of drawing, outside of making the book. And there's just a lot of things to pay attention to. But I know I need to have that there. So I'm going to find a way to just sit down and force myself and ask for help, which I did. Thank you, Yanzi, for your feedback and your help on that. I just needed to run it by somebody so they could go, yeah, that's that makes sense. Sometimes you need that. But yeah, I mean, like, I've started doing this whole comic book art thing and artist thing. First comic when I was 14, and been drawing since I could hold a pencil. And all of that stuff is great, loving to draw and not wanting to stop drawing, but that alone is not going to make you able to, do the crowdfunding thing. And I was doing crowdfunding, funny enough, before I was even in Comicsgate. So I crowdfunded 2 art books before I was, and when I say that, I was Comicsgate, but I was buying and backing books and helping out with videos and things like that. But it was my audience that I built on Instagram that funded those 2 art books. So I didn't have the benefit of using, this incredible audience of folks in Comicsgate and Comicsgaters. And that's a really great lesson, because you get to see how much, even with a big audience, you can raise in crowdfunding. And it's hard to do. So I raised, God, like, what was it? Like 7,000, like, I think it was high 7,000s and high 8,000s So, and the books were like very close together. And there's people who come into Comicsgate back in the day, and they draw stick figures and hit those numbers and go, "Why aren't I making 100,000?" And I'm like, you can't draw. Like, you should be thrilled with what you've got. But it's like it was mind boggling to me. And I'm like, and just keep honing your craft, but don't be ungrateful. Like, you've got this audience that you didn't even have to really build. It's hard to build an audience. And for me, I saw Comicsgate and I was just so inspired by it. I said, okay, I'm going to go try to do this myself. Um, and it's such a, it's hard to describe, but I was self-publishing comics when I was a kid. It was never, I never come into these things with, rose-colored glasses. It's just not how I am, man. Yeah, don't tease me about art books. I'm dying to get them. Oh, you're going to get them. You're getting the last of those Rigor Mortrex books. I find sitting and drawing at a desk for several hours to be as physically arduous as the days I spend repairing heavy-duty trucks. Yeah, and thank you for what you do, particularly on the heavy-duty trucks and the art. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm great at my at art. My stick figures are top-notch. Amen. Um, yeah, Mikey, it's partially people overvaluing themselves, but I think I mean, I think that can happen. Obviously, that happens to everybody. It's more, I think it's more underestimating the temperament and the amount of work you have to have, work ethic you have to have. It really is, because why somebody gets frustrated, exhausted, and loses their mind doing comics is not something that surprises me at all. You know, yeah, it's simply great. It's a fun way to be. It abs 100%. Like, that doesn't shock me at all. What shocks me is people who keep making comics that, like, I love. Like, I have to do this. This is crazy, and I love doing it. I love telling stories, and I love writing. And it's the same thing with teaching. I'd say to people, I go, I had a former student who fancied himself, a rock star artist. He had a decent fan following. And he came in to substitute teach for me one time because I was getting an MRI and I needed somebody to come in. I love that, seeing the name Raul Julia, by the way. Anybody ever lay down when they draw? I find it less painful. Yeah, probably so. Michelangelo did. So, you're certainly on the right path with that. And he called me frantically. I mean, I'm just trying to get an MRI. And he goes, I said, how's it? He's like, I just had to tell you something. It's weird. They're all just looking at me and it's freaking me out. All the students are just looking at me. And I said, yeah, can I give you a bit of advice that might help you out with the whole teaching thing? He says, yeah, what? I go, it's not about you at all. You will go insane if you stare at that sea of faces and wonder what each and every one of them is thinking about you. You're thinking way too much about yourself. Think about what you have to teach and what they might need that they don't know they need. That's it. You got to have that mentality. Otherwise, you'll just come apart, and you can't do that. People want to connect with comic book creators in a way that's truly incredible. And I want to thank all of you guys who became channel members, by the way, on this stream, but all of you guys who continue to be channel members, continue to do things like gift memberships for other folks here. I appreciate every single bit of that. It's incredible. And it's something I never take for granted. And it's a part of what I have to do, for my work and the things that that push me out of my comfort zone. That's a big part of it. But it was, I think it was John, speaking of that amazing cover he did, which is why it's such a wonderful thing, truly. But John, who was a big time introvert himself, saying, we're all introverts. Stop using it as an excuse, and he was saying this in general. Get your ass on a stream and promote your stuff. We don't have grab an oar. We don't have time for everybody to just lay down and let someone else do the work. And it's everybody's got to try to do their best, but I'm very appreciative of the people operating at such a high level in Comicsgate. Cold King, what's up? Hey, brother, great to see you. Great to see you, too. Let me see here. There are way too many talented people with more experience here than me. I'd be a fool not to listen. Yeah, and by the way, though, that's the great thing. Here's the funniest thing that happened at that Dave Barry talk. I felt really bad for the guy, for the interviewer, because the interviewer, and we can all fall into this. It's nightmare fuel, particularly when you're used to having to carry a conversation on YouTube. But he's got this guy, Dave Barry, who's, 77. God knows how much incredible experience he has. And every time he asked him a question, it would involve some variation of, well, I know for me, when I'm doing things, and it's like, sorry to say this, nobody's here for you. They're here for him. And I was wondering, because I know Dave Barry is sharp as a razor, I was like, I wonder if he's noticing this. And at a certain point, and he unglued the guy in a minute. He goes, you ever notice that he makes everything about him to the audience? And the dude turned red, totally lost his footing. He didn't even know how to not do that, which was the painful thing. It was hard to watch. Oh my God. It was like, I can't even describe it. It was like watching something out of Animal Kingdom or something like that. I mean, it was just, the lion had its prey and the guy came unglued. And it's the same thing I said as a teacher, but it's different here. SPRINGBALL, Nosfero, and Shanthan Jetty Art, my channel and my books, are absolutely about me. They need to be about me. That's the subject. That can be very tough for introverts. It's a tough thing to wrap your mind around. But Comicsgate isn't. And I'm a part of Comicsgate, but I didn't build it. I didn't create it. I'm just a part of that. And it's a crazily cool thing to be a part of. And Comicsgate is a part of that. It's not all of comics. But it's, for those of us who are in Comicsgate, it's an incredible opportunity to explore what can happen when you have an audience that is centered around the idea of independent creators and not and bringing comic books back to its roots. That's an incredible thing, and I think sometimes it can be difficult for folks to say, well, what is this if it's not all about me? I mean, if you're a member of this channel, as so many of you guys are, and thank you. If you're a member of this channel, then you know how often even when I'm on other people's streams, I check the chat to say hi and to see what people are doing, see how people are doing, and it's very much on my mind. That's just the way it is. Like we have to, it's important to interact with people. It's again, it's like going to that thing and taking a photo for that person. It was like, I was there. That's what you do. It's a very interesting thing, but I think you can get so in your head if a person needs to be, was it Chris Rock said this in one of his recent stand-up specials, addressing the Will Smith thing, but just in general. He goes, the hardest addiction I think to break, the most difficult addiction to break based on all of my experience, is an addiction to attention. And I have to tell you, that was a outstanding bit of insight, because it's very true. And if you aren't addicted to attention, you're going to do a lot better in Comicsgate than you would otherwise. If you're focused on skill, the craft, making things, and being as, disciplined as you possibly can be. And as a one-man person, there's only so much you can do. But, as a one-man outfit, which is what Shanthan Jetty Art is, there's only so much you can do. But you've got to, seriously, Chris Rock did some outstanding stuff. But there's creative freedom here, and there's a support network of fans, and there's people who want to check stuff out. And you can meet people and engage with people in a way that is really entertaining, really fun, really silly, and you don't have to be in control of it or the center of the show. And if that idea for creators is all of the hard work, all of those things you still have to do, and more than you'd have to do if you're working in the industry. But you like the idea of that kind of space, that kind of freedom, and you don't need to be the center of attention and get, repeatedly, told how important you are. You're going to do pretty well. If you deliver your books, people get to know you. People get to like the stuff that you're doing. And I do believe in quality. I do think quality is ultimately the thing that I'm serving. God, I really love how that came together. I am so happy for the person who's going to be getting this painting. He knows who he is. And some of you know who he is. Because little moments like that, to me, that's still the stuff that gets me. That's what the paint does. That's just something that happens with the paint. Really cool. I was watching Bob Ross the other day and I went, this guy's a legend. So Bob Ross, all the paintings he did, the many paintings Bob Ross did, are all in a warehouse in boxes stacked. They're not even out. They haven't even sold them. And if they did an exhibition of his work, people would come from everywhere to see it. That's the funniest thing about it. And as put down as he was, he had a connection with the audience, and he was something else, man. He really was an amazing guy. And all these years later, still crushing it on YouTube from beyond the grave. Bob Ross, man. And it's just about, I don't know how to describe what Bob Ross does. Was he a YouTuber, an art YouTuber before art YouTubers? I mean, I think art YouTubers are essentially trying to do Bob Ross. It's all broadcasting. But the idea that we're in this unique space, Comicsgate is a very unique space where we're making comics for an audience that wants to buy comics. We're selling comics to an audience that wants to buy them and to back them and to support the arts. Guys, this is very unique, and it's not going to happen a lot of other places, and it's probably not going to happen anywhere else in this generation. And it's really important. Really important. There'll be other creators. There have been creators crowdfunding for a very long time on a lot of different platforms. This is different. What's happening here is very different. Don't know how to quite describe it, but I think it'll be easier to describe when I mean, we're at since 2018, so I think there's definitely things we can notice, about it, but I still think the time is not up on it. Like when Image Comics came out, one of the biggest contributions Image Comics made, in my personal opinion, is the Dark Horse Legend imprint, and all these people starting artist-centric imprints. Image was the parent of that. So before things like Walking Dead and those huge pop culture phenomenon came out of Image Comics, you had Sin City by Frank Miller and the Legend guys getting together over at Dark Horse. That wasn't going to happen. So I'm backer number 5 and 509 on Springball. I love it, man. Love it. Glad to hear it, Mark. Yeah, CG is absolutely about creative freedom. But it's the Image model was so helpful to so many people. It really was. It was great. But at a certain point, the door was kind of closed because nobody was. It was too expensive to do because you have to use Diamond. There's all these other things, and crowdfunding is kind of this opportunity that makes it work. When all comics would sell a certain amount of copies, a set amount of copies, and the industry was healthier, yeah, I mean, the independent scene and Diamond made a lot more sense. But now, and not for a while, has that made any kind of sense. And Comicsgate figured out that there was a way to get fans who were frustrated with the lack of quality, and then bringing in all of these amazing creators and talent, to come in and make some of the best work of their careers. And I include myself in that, in terms of this is the best stuff I think I've ever made that I'm doing right now. And it's for an audience I love, man. I found Comicsgate because all of my favorite artists disappeared. I had to Google EVS and Shane to find it. Wow, Mikey, that is amazing. And it's very true. It's very true. I found Comicsgate because of the Fandom Menace. And I had never thought I was going to go back and do comics. The last comic job I did, I think, that came out, Thomas Jane hired me to do a short story for Alien Worlds, but I don't think that ever came out, written by Bruce Jones. Those are I've shown those originals on stream before. They're black and white, very Dave Stevens-y. And Dave Stevens and it's me plus Dave Stevens and Bill Stout, those kinds of things, because it was for a short story in I can't believe Alien Worlds. So I was referencing the stuff from that time. And but the last thing I did was a Flash Gordon story written by Len Wein for the 75th anniversary Flash Gordon book. So I was kind of thinking, I'm an illustrator, I'm a teacher, I'm never going to, retire or leave teaching because, hey, it's not like they're going to ask me to, teach prejudice or anything crazy like that. Little did I know. But I certainly didn't think that. I was just trying to come home from work and, be entertained by EVS. And then when I saw what happened to him, when he got canceled and I was there, remember all that stuff. He's talked about, I'm going to launch this comic book called CYBERFROG. And that was the first book I got. The first Comicsgate book I got, which was the second Comicsgate book. I didn't know anything about John Malin. This is the funny part. I didn't know anything about John Malin. I knew of your boy Zach from Ethan's channel, but you could have knocked me over with a feather by telling me back then that John Malin was going to do a cover for Springball, because I'd go with Springball's retired. He's not coming back out, and I don't know any of these people. They're total strangers to me. But people go from strangers to people that you know really quick. And that's kind of an amazing thing, isn't it? Just like what happens here in the chat. Gotta run, says Mark's Music Obsession. Gotta run out to the boat dock for a couple of minutes. Hopefully I won't miss the rest. If I do, have a blessed Sunday, everyone. And you too, Mark's Music Obsession. And thank you for all of your support for Springball. I do really appreciate it. Really do appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you back. But, if we don't, it's great that you're here. And thank you for always backing everything. Yeah. It is kind of just it's an incredible thing how stuff comes together. I mean, you should have seen me. So I wasn't reading comics, so I didn't know Ethan from DC or any of that stuff, and so I really did not know his work. I had probably seen it, but I didn't really know his work. So the big work that he did that I thought was like, wow, that's incredible, which he probably, I don't know what he thinks about it, was 12 Rules for Life. I was like, wow, because I'm a college professor, I'm following Jordan Peterson because that's very tied to my field. And to find out that this Star Wars guy, as I knew him at the time, was the illustrator of Jordan Peterson's book, and Jordan Peterson was like worlds colliding. Like, if you ever needed a sign from above that maybe, you were in the right place and stuff coming together, that was up there. But there have been so many other creepy, bizarre freak occurrences. Like when I found out that the first published book I did, that Shane had bought it at a gas station, a book I did when I was 17, I was like, what are the chances? Like, that is so strange. I mean, I can't imagine anybody. I don't know how many people I've ever met in my life who didn't know me who bought that book. It's so weird. Such a strange thing, man. When stuff's supposed to happen, it'll happen. Clearly it's not my plan. There we go. Now the scales are working. You see how they're those weird layers where it's getting sort of glints of light? That's what I'm always going for. It's not rendering at all. And if you watch this stream back, one of the fun things about it is you're going to get to see me do how I approach stuff like this, where I put in the contrast and I put in all that stuff. That's the fun part of it. Hang on a second. I'm going to play, I want to go and play some trailers real quick to promote some books, if I may, and some work real quick. I'm just going to play a couple of them, but there's a couple of projects that I think need your love and attention. So let's get these played for a second here. Here you go.
If fighting was a god, I would worship him. I would bow to him. I would pray for victory. For he only grants opportunities. But behind every god lurks a devil. And the devil wants me to take a dive. My name is Annatomic. And this is how my legend was made.
There you go, guys. Check out those projects. Of course, really great stuff. Sign up for the Annatomic book, which is, of course, part of the world of Inglorious Rex, and beautiful artwork, incredible artwork in that book. Uh, I was blown away by all of the stuff I've seen, and yeah, can't wait to get that book. And then, of course, Anna's The Eye Project. Support a fellow painter who is doing some really great work and really cool stuff. Flash, yeah. Oh yeah, Bruce Campbell's Chin. That was a fun book to do as well, because the way that book was pitched to me was I was with my kids and I was in the museum, which was hilarious. I was in a museum in New York. So I was at the Met with my late father-in-law, God rest him. And my cell phone rang. And no one ever calls me on my cell phone. My cell phone rang, and I was like, "What the heck?" And the museum's like, "Shh." And it was my editor from England calling, and he goes, "I want to offer you a Flash Gordon story." And I told him I'm not doing comics anymore. I'm too tired. I don't want to. It's always a frustrating thing. I've got kids and I don't have the time, and I'm teaching. It's like I wish these things had come to me, about 10 or 15 years ago is what I used to feel. But now is not the time, not with two little kids and a teaching career. But he goes, no, it's a short story and you have all the time in the world. You don't have to rush. And I was like, yeah, I know. I've heard this pitch. Last time we did a job, my appendix ruptured. I go, you never know what's going to happen. I was like, I don't feel comfortable. And he goes, and it's Flash Gordon. And he goes, and Len Wein is going to be the writer, the guy who created Wolverine. And I was like, oh my God. Ugh. You had to say yes. You have to say yes sometimes. And I said, fine. Fine, I'll do it. Oh my God. It was too funny. I was very fortunate, and I'm very grateful to that editor, but it was just one of those funny, you can't make this stuff up. You honestly can't make this stuff up. I mean, I guess you can, but someone's going to look, I think. Say, did he ever do a Flash Gordon book? Maybe he made it up. So crazy, man. So crazy. But yeah, that's the whole fun of things that we're doing here in Confiscate. So just one more thing I want to make sure I say and want to make sure I cover for all of you guys. Thank you guys for being channel members. All of you guys who become channel members. We got a huge bump in subscribers recently on this channel. If you're not subscribed, please do come over to YouTube and make sure you're subscribed. It does help. It was great for us and great for me, and I really do appreciate it. I did update the Spring Ball campaign. You can add on the individual books now to various tiers. Not every single tier, but if you order cover A and you want to add cover B and C, you can do that. B and John Malin's cover. If you order the head sketch and you want to add to that, you can. But go out and back some great books out there. Do support Spring Ball. Do check out Nosfero, my fully painted comic book, the second edition of that. Yeah, it sounds like bragging to me. It does, John. Yeah, got a huge bump. Yes, it did. Yeah, God is a lamp unto your feet. Lamps don't provide all of your fortune steps, Malin doing the cover, etc., but guiding you in the correct direction. There's 100% truth to that, man. Yeah, Shane did a really great job on the dialogue on that trailer. Absolutely right. John Shanth got a huge yes, indeed. Dave and Games, what is this that you are painting, Shanth? This is a commission, Dave, for backer who has backed my books on a number of occasions, and he had reached out to me, and I don't typically do commissions of large canvas paintings, but he told me he had a dream for a painting, and he was just an incredible patron and backer of the stuff I was doing. And it just felt right. I had an idea I think I understood what I could do for a painting for him. And I just said to him, I said, all right, here's what I'm going to need. And I have an idea for it. And he said, let's rock. And so that's how a lot of these things go. That's how a lot of these things go. And so, yeah, this is going to be, this is a private commission that's going to be in somebody's home. And it's a large scale, what is it now? 16 by 20 inch painting. So here's a decent view of it. All the way up to the collapsing stonework and wings. So it's a pretty massive undertaking to do a painting like this. And it's gonna be something else. It's gonna be a beautiful painting. I cannot wait to get this to him because there's just so much care that goes into every single painting and everything I do. So and he's just a terrific guy. So it's great to be able to do this for him. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. I think we're almost, we're past 2 hours. Excellent. So we got to 2 hours. All right, on a Sunday. Guys, have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. And if you have not yet, do back Spring Ball. It's got 5 more days left, I think it is. And so a big push now would be great for it. There are 3 covers, including the excellent John Malin cover. If you haven't seen that, here's a look at it. Going back that book, back Nosfero the Crypt Walker. That's the second link. And then also, once you back Spring Ball Nosfero, remember there's a whole bunch of links under creators, independent creators who are funding books. In Comicsgate, so you've got, Anna, that Star Wars girl, who's got an art book out right now. You've got Cecil, who has got Cash Grab 2 funding right now on Fund My Comic. You've got CYBERFROG 3 Red Extermination. You've got FEARSOME, illustrated by Dave Williams, and beautiful stuff there. Let's see what else. Oh, you've got Art Thibert Black and White, if you haven't backed that yet. So incredible stuff out there, guys. Go and check it out. I'm sure there's a lot of things I've forgotten to mention. Oh, and sign up for Annatomic by Shane Davis. So thank you guys again. Let's close this out from the heart of Lovecraft Country and the birthplace of American religious liberty. My name is Shanthan Jetty. You've been watching Shanthan Jetty Art here at the Good Morning Waffleage. And as I always like to say, and it's very important to say, speak easy, stay gold, keep the faith, and peace be with you guys. Give nihilism no quarter, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Have a wonderful Sunday. David D., it's great to see you. Corey, it's great to see you. Alpha Channel, you're welcome. Great to see you. Mikey, Cranberry Langers, and all of my channel members here. Timmy Mello, great to see you guys here. Appreciate you, Dave and Guns. Great to see you. Let me see if there's anything else. Bruce Campbell's Chin, channel member. It's great to see you, my friend. Simply Green, great to have you in the house. John, all of you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. I will see you guys very, very soon. With another stream, and let's keep doing what we do. All right, guys, and here are the credits for all my channel members. I'll be updating it with those 2 new channel members very soon. Take care.
Good morning, come on in. Coffee's good, fresh and hot. 24 hours a day. Just come on.